Welcome to Living Hypnotically, where we explore the application and benefits of hypnosis with professional hypnotists. I'm Erica Flint, and I have the honor today of introducing Dr. Annie Alexander as our guest today. Annie has been with us at Cascade Hypnosis Center for almost 5 years now as a hypnotist. So I've had the honor of working alongside her. Annie, so great to have you here today. Thank you for being here. Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
I will. Thanks for the invitation. It's very exciting. I love podcasts. I have been in the mental health field most of my life, started out as an ambulance chaser, but then quickly graduated into clinical psychology and having several practices all over the place. And some time ago discovered hypnosis as a much more expedient way of doing work with people.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little of your origin story? How did that come about? You're in the mental health field and somehow
Sure.
you're aware of hypnosis. Yeah. What was that like?
I wish I had known about hypnosis quite a bit earlier than I did.
Uh-huh.
However, when I was 14, it occurred to me that I wanted to help people. And so I decided to become a neurosurgeon. And I figured that's a really good way to help save people. And that morphed over the period of 1 or 2 years, so I was still pretty young, into understanding that it would be much better if I could explore the brain without a scalpel.
Yeah.
And understand it a little bit better to help repair people's challenges and difficulties. And it was shortly thereafter that I also stumbled, and I say stumbled, upon astrology as a way of understanding what goes on with people as well. And that's for perhaps a little bit later conversation. But the neurosurgeon concept morphed into clinical psychology, and that eventually morphed into hypnotherapy.
Wow, that's great. Who do you like to help with hypnosis?
I like to help as many people as possible. That's number one. But number two, I find that I tend to like people who, and I don't, let me requalify this. I don't necessarily like them, better or worse.
Mhm.
I love everybody I work with. However, I seem to gravitate towards and attract people who are overthinkers, people with a lot of anxiety, people with trauma. And that's so common these days. So it's long-standing stressors
Mhm.
and things that show up in different ways, but really have their origins in troubled childhoods.
Oh, okay. Can you share a story with us about one of your clients?
I can. I've got a couple of them, and all pretty exciting. I worked with a 40-year-old man within the last year or so, and he had not slept for more than 3 hours in any given day or night for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
Now, it turns out, yeah, I had a troubled childhood, and he had some mom issues. And I thought, I wonder how that's going to translate into my being a female and working with him. But it worked out really well because I had worked with his wife previously. So she set the stage for, hey, this lady doesn't bite. And so he was really willing to venture in. And after 2 sessions, he began sleeping 6 to 8 hours a night and continued that. And that's one of those cases where my mouth was hanging open. Oh my God.
Gosh, 2
This
sessions.
is, yeah. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be 5+ sessions. It's going to be 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah.
And bang. Now, it was a little bit of a slippery slope between the first and second sessions. He had some interesting personal development work that he did on his own. Himself frightened his wife. Nothing harmful, but it was just different.
Okay.
And then slid right on over into a new paradigm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It reminds me of that phrase, confusion is a precursor to enlightenment. We often get really messy and really, it seems like it might be going in the wrong direction at one point, but then all of a sudden it clears up. So we see things change, right? It either gets better or worse. We don't really want it to remain the same, right?
Correct.
And after his first week, he goes and we're not sure what's happening, but confusion is a precursor to enlightenment. So when he's out there confused, then he comes back in the new paradigm. And we can see that quite a bit, right?
Yeah, and I absolutely love it. But he's just the poster child for no more insomnia.
Good, good. Can you share with us what really made the difference in your mind for him?
Through hypnosis, he was able to move past the conscious mind gatekeeper
Yeah.
and move into some very important connect the dots on the inside kind of things that he hadn't allowed or been allowing himself to do because of our own conscious resistance that we all have. And it was so deep and so intense and so solidified for him that he just couldn't get beyond himself, so to
He
speak.
couldn't,
So
yeah.
hypnosis was the trick.
He really needed to get into subconscious somehow. And the nice thing with hypnosis, we get to do it intentionally. We get expected results. It's repeatable. Don't you just love being able to get into the subconscious mind with hypnosis? It's just so, we just get such expected results. It's fantastic.
It's wonderful. And it even surprises people themselves, and they don't know what to make of it. And it takes a little while for some people to integrate the fact that, hey, this really did work.
They're surprised. And I've had clients before where they'll say to themselves, geez, it couldn't have been that bad if I feel okay now. And they'll say, I can't even get associated to that feeling anymore. I guess it wasn't that bad all along. And there's a little bit of risk there if we allow our clients to think that it wasn't that bad all along. And if they're ever saying something like that, I'll pull their notes out and say, this is what you said to me when you walked in.
Exactly.
And then they really get to be real with themselves about, wow, I really did change that much in a short period of time.
And that's why using the metric scale on a scale of 1 to 10, and then asking those questions is so important. I do the same thing. I go back to my notes and I say, when you came in the first session, you were a 3 on a 10 scale in terms of self-satisfaction or whatever it might be. And today at session 3, you're a 9. And they're like, oh, I am? Oh, I am? I was? And you have that conversation and compact it into a, yep, that's what's happening.
So what questions do you typically ask your clients on every session? Are you asking them this certain questions on a metric scale to check in with you every time?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I want
nice.
that feedback for them.
Yeah.
It's not for my benefit, it's for theirs, so that they can see their progress over a short period of time. And for both of us, we can course correct where we need to tweak something that is much more customizable to their needs.
Exactly. And I see newer hypnotists making the mistake of not going back to the benefits form, or what we would call the outcomes form, what the client is telling us that they want when they first come in. And a lot of our clients don't do that very well at the beginning. So we're always going to take some time at the beginning to make sure that their outcomes or benefits form is proper or correct, because a lot of our clients come in saying everything they don't want, right? We got to check back with them every session, make sure that they are still on course, and we get to show them how much progress they've made on all of the things that they came to see us for. And it keeps them focused on why they came to see us, because the other problem is clients can get off track. There's a lot of issues in our lives, right? Not just what they come to see us for.
It's a very easy way to be accountable, and it helps people understand, oh, I am doing this. I did do this. I don't have to depend upon a hypnotherapist forever and a day. And as long as I continue doing what we've talked about, I'll be the one in charge of increasing the numbers on this scale. And so that becomes a kind of guidepost for them to understand, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this once a day. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we start getting them into new healthy routines.
New habits.
Yep, new healthy habits. So a different type of questions. What if your clients taught you, Annie?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I do have some thoughts about that. And one of the things that comes to my mind is that the mind always knows more than it reveals. I'm always surprised by what people seem to know, but can't access unless we access it hypnotically, but can't access until we get into those deeper states. And that's why the debriefing at the end of the session is so important, to say, wow, did that surprise you? surprised me. And then we can talk about that just a little bit.
Right.
So it's so important to have what's there be revealed as soon as the person is capable and able, as soon as possible, because that's the dot connection. And as I always say, the proof is in the pudding, especially when it comes to people wanting hypnosis and believing hypnosis is really a very quick and effective short-term solution to long-term problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And just by the nature of the conscious mind, we know the conscious mind is limited. We do. We can only store so many things in our mind at once. Now, scientists will say 7 to 9 bits of information, right? There are other people who might be gifted that have conscious minds that can memorize all sorts of things. But in general, we believe the conscious mind is limited to a certain amount of things that we can actually be aware of consciously at any one time. And we also believe that the unconscious mind, or the unconscious mind, the body's consciousness, and then the subconscious mind is basically unlimited. So we really cannot be aware of everything that we have inside of us at any one time by the limitations of the conscious mind.
Absolutely true. And the more we use hypnosis, the more is revealed.
Get the book, Start Hypnotizing. Get the book and first hypnosis lesson free now at canyoubeahypnotist.com.
Yep. So we get to go down into kind of the root where all that information is stored, driving our behavior. Awesome. Yeah. Our clients, that's great. That's great. A great reminder that there's always more information down in there, even as hypnotists.
Yep.
Yeah. Good.
Absolutely.
Good. And what would you like to share with your clients? We have people out there who are considering hypnosis. There's a lot of perceptions about what hypnosis really is, but I believe the public is getting more and more. They want hypnosis. They don't want the pill anymore. They want long-term empowered relief, not having to go to the doctor every week or do something every single week. So what would you like your clients or your potential clients out there to know about hypnosis?
I think ever since the pandemic, what seems to me to be the pivot point for education is the fact that virtual services are just as effective as in-person services. Absolutely no difference. And I tell people there is absolutely no difference, except I can hear you better when we're online.
Right. And I have that same thing for me too, Annie. It's easier for me to hear for this virtual now. And for some of our clients, it's way more convenient. They don't have to leave anywhere.
It is. I tell them, go ahead, leave your jammy bottoms on.
Yeah.
And you won't have to commute.
Yeah.
And the people who have fears of driving or anxieties around those issues, this is certainly a big bonus for them. For the other people who have small children at home, we around the child's daycare schedule or the school schedule. And so again, it's really not an issue. And just getting somebody set up technology wise is pretty easy too. So once we get past that, we can just fly. And I want people to know that, yeah, I understand you want that in-person experience, but you're not going for a massage. So I'm not going to be touching you, even if you were sitting in the office. So you tell me, why would this not be beneficial for you?
Yeah, good.
Right.
We're getting great results for our clients. I started working with clients online since my first book was published. And so it wasn't always quite as easy for people to work with us, or they weren't always as open to it, but more and more people are open to it now.
And the inverse of that I just heard the other day was someone who said, hey, I do telehealth. A potential client said, I do telehealth. I am so sick of being on Zoom. You can't believe the issue. And now I have a lot of anxiety about being on Zoom. So I offered to meet her. She didn't take me up on it, but I offered to meet her in person, at a coffee shop, catch the vibe, make the in-person meeting. And she steered clear of that. So obviously she has some other issues going on that weren't yet articulated. But for a lot of people, it's like, I spend my life on Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very short term. We're talking about 10 hours over the course of maybe a month's period of time. So if you can invest that in yourself, then it can be behind you and you can move forward probably doing different things than you imagined.
Yeah, good. Yeah, we get to help our clients overcome whatever small resistances are in their way. There's always some resistance to certain things and people, and we just love them and help them get past those little things because we want them to get the results.
Right, absolutely, which is to be comfortable, be clear, be confident.
Can you tell us a tool or technique? Maybe talk a little bit about how you incorporate astrology into the work that you
Sure.
like to do.
Astrology is like breathing for me. So it's part of the paradigm that my brain engages in, even when we're having this conversation, even as I'm driving from the store and back. It's just the way my brain thinks. So
Uh-huh.
I've decided to offer it to clients who are interested. Those who don't want to or aren't interested, no harm, no foul, no big deal. We'll just continue on with hypnotherapy. But for those people who are interested, I usually create a natal chart for them. And I
Uh-huh.
spend a few minutes on the front end of the first session reviewing that so that we can laser in on some of the root issues and challenges, because I do what's called evolutionary astrology, which means I track the journey of the soul across its
Cool.
lifetime, plural.
Evolutionary. Wow, Annie, that is really cool.
Yeah, I figured there were plenty of other astrologers out there who are looking at what your skill sets are, and might be a good time to go back to school and all those things in life. But I'm much more interested in deeper root cause, which is why I'm a 5-path hypnotherapist. It goes hand in hand. They're
Yeah.
married. So always looking at what the soul has been up to, what it's doing this lifetime, why it's having its challenges, what it's really working on, what its evolutionary status is. And when I feed that back to individuals, it always coincides with the issues that they've been having and the issues they came to me for to begin with.
Wow.
So we can just go down the road much stronger than ever before.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. So you get to incorporate that into the work. Wow.
Yeah. And then each session, I can check the chart at the beginning of the session and do what's called a transit chart to see where everything is right now, because everything changes
Yeah.
second by second. Nothing is static. And so I can cast the most updated transit chart and see what's going on. And 10 times out of 10, whatever the client is reporting to me is also reflected in the chart. Whether I share that with them or not, it's just, aha, yeah, I know that. And I can see that. And telling someone, I really see what's going on with you in your chart, is another way of developing confidence in someone. And it's not arbitrary. It's very, very well defined. So it is a wonderful technology to add to the mix if someone's interested.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. That's fantastic. We have a lot of our clients that are interested in looking at those types of things. So,
Sure.
and
And I can
incorporate.
do it for businesses as well, meaning I can do a standalone business chart, which I simply call business navigation services.
Business navigation. Good. Good.
Yeah, for entrepreneurs who have a new or existing business and they want to chart the course of all the different life cycles that a business goes through, everything from startup and identity to revenue creation and messaging and partnerships, and who are the clients that I serve and why am I really doing this? And more often than not, the entrepreneur is really overlapping with the business chart.
Mhm.
But sometimes the entrepreneur has their own vision and their own thoughts, and that's not necessarily what the business chart is showing. So closing that gap for people is really important in making sure that both entities, business and person, are successful. So when they're married, when they're on the same page, they can adapt to one another and move forward in tandem rather than with friction.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of inner conflict that you might notice at that point, right? Between what the business needs are and then what the client or the business owner entrepreneur is wanting.
Very much For instance, some people say, hey, I'm going to launch this campaign and this new product that I have, and I just will check the chart and say, you know what? If you could delay that for 6 weeks, or if you could just shift the perspective a little bit, your
Mhm.
momentum will be that much greater. And if they're open to hearing that and abiding by that, then it works quite well.
Awesome. Fantastic, Annie. Well, thank you for doing that. How do you live hypnotically? How do you incorporate hypnosis into your daily life?
It's absolutely essential, of course, that I do that. And when I was first learning, I used self-hypnosis, and the mantras, as clients like to call them, we call them recognition. So for anyone listening, if you recognize it as a recognition, that's exactly what it is, the mantra. But I'd like to set specific goals for myself
Yeah.
every day. I'm very goal-oriented, meaning there's certain things that you have to do being in business, and you have timelines and they have to get done. So I put them, chores first is my motto. So I always do that first, but then I integrate whatever it is that I want to do, whether it's going to a concert or meeting somebody for lunch, and I make sure that that gets integrated. And so I have a schedule for myself, and that is hypnotically, because I have my little sticky notes, and I
Nice.
make sure to look at those all the time, and that helps keep me on track. I also have a daily practice,
Mhm.
yoga every day, mindfulness practice every day, breathing every day. That usually occurs before I even open my eyes in the morning, where I'm observing my breath, inhaling, observing my breath, exhaling, and
Mhm.
puts me into that self-hypnosis state where I'm much more receptive to the thoughts that I want to have and set out for the day. When
Wow.
I think about myself, I always use the term I am in terms
Mhm.
of affirmations, not I really want to become blah, blah, blah,
Okay.
fill in the blank. It's
Right.
always I am healthy. I am a money magnet, or whatever it is that I determine I want to be. I am generous.
That's
So
right.
it's always in the present. I also do something that I call future casting,
Mhm.
which we might want to call age progression for those people
Mhm.
who are familiar with hypnosis. I happen to call it future casting, where I'm practicing the what I want
Uh-huh.
in my mind during that time of the day when I am focused on my breathing. And then I can reinforce that throughout the day if I feel a need. Otherwise, it just sets the tone for me. And the other thing that I do, the sort of fifth item, is I try to be aware of my triggers, because we all have them.
Yeah.
And the triggers are those things that pop us out of the present and either take us back to the past or send us hurtling into the unknown, into the future. And it doesn't mean I'm in control of my triggers at all time. It just means I know what they are, and I'm going to observe. So I use that objective distancing
Yeah.
process, and I observe myself having a particular emotional state, or having a thought, or having something that I may not really care for, but I'm going to observe myself doing that so that I can allow myself the bandwidth to move through the process and come to a conclusion, at least for that day, so that I don't just stay stuck in a rabbit hole
Yeah.
while
Good.
I continue to work them through and resolve them.
Yeah, we don't have
That's,
perfect lives as
yeah,
hypnotists, right? We still have
yeah,
things to work on, and we're
we
still
do.
doing things all the time. So,
Yeah.
really good job. I'm wondering if you can walk us through the future casting a little bit slower so that we could just practice it right now for everybody that's on. Maybe we could do just a little bit of future casting for ourselves.
Sure. Taking a deep breath. I find my
Okay.
place and space. If I'm just sitting in this chair right now, I imagine. So I'd like you to imagine now yourself living the life you want. Whatever comes to you, whatever color, shape, sound, form, image, or thought, whatever might come to you now, imagine it all. There's no detail too small or too large to incorporate. It's the entire picture, as if you were sitting in the theater and watching yourself on stage, and knowing this is your life as you step up into the spotlight and feel what it feels like to accept that award, to marry that special person, to win that lottery and submit your ticket for reimbursement, to be traveling the place where you want to be, whether it's by train or plane, to be sitting on a tour boat in the middle of the Aegean Sea, looking at the hills of white stucco in Greece above you, with the sunshine beating down as you wear your favorite pink sun hat, protecting yourself. And the fish and the dolphin are jumping nearby. You can hear the splash of the water. As you imagine yourself simply walking into the architect's office, checking on your blueprints to see how your new home build is going. As you get a status update, as you open your email to hear that the permits have been issued, to see that the permits have been issued, to know that the next step of your home is quickly and easily unfolding. As you imagine designing and decorating it, what color will the walls be? As you imagine sitting in the middle of your cozy living room with the propane or the wood stove. It's early in the evening, you're watching your favorite movie, your feet are up, you're cozy in your new Christmas present blanket that someone gave to you, that you absolutely adore, with the dogs asleep at your feet or the cat purring on your lap. You're feeling what it feels like to be living in your vision. And as you soak that all in, when you're ready, come back to the present moment, allowing yourself to open your eyes as it seems right for you, with a smile on your face, feeling that vibe, feeling the glow of all the things that you experienced in the future, pulling them right here into now, into the present moment, to continue enjoying.
Wow. Thank you, Annie. I imagined definitely sitting on my couch. My living room is very cozy right now. It is intentionally cozy. And with Harland and just that sense of being home and comfortable and safe. So good. So good. And I love how you're showing us how to walk yourself through different experiences. So for you listeners out there, there's probably something that we just talked about there that you can use and think about in your own life. So what did you call it? Future
casting.
Future casting. So that's what I like to do, something like that. If I have something going on in the day, I'll put myself into the future, what I'm going to be doing at that point in the day.
Wonderful. And as far as that's, you're welcome. As far as that's concerned, when I anticipate having to talk to someone or do something that makes me a little anxious, but I enjoy the activity, I'll future cast myself in that activity in an environment that doesn't make me nervous, like being here on this podcast with you. And then I'm practicing it here so that that transferable skill becomes quite easy when the time comes to step on the Vegas stage.
Yeah, good. Very good. Was there anything else you'd like to share? Anything you'd like to say to your listeners out there or someone who might want to work with you?
I'm here. I'm available. I'm as easy as a phone call or a text away, and very flexible in terms of how we can work together and when we can work together. And I would like to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
And that is, what is your vision for this podcast? Perhaps what was your intention, but what have you really observed since it's been in play?
The intention for the podcast was really to help people know the power of hypnosis. There's so much misperception still about what hypnosis is. Even though I've been a professional hypnotist for 10 years, clients are still coming in not thinking that hypnosis is stage hypnosis. They're still thinking that it is what they see in Hollywood. So I want to get people like you who are out here doing real work, what we actually help our clients with every single day. As the good news, let's share the good news. How do we apply hypnosis, and what are the practical applications of hypnosis that professional hypnotists use every single day? I think the best way we can be good hypnotists is to live hypnotically. So I love to share how I start my day with hypnosis, how I'm using the 2-breath hypnosis technique and the alpha sequence. I'm not perfectly de-stressed. I still get stressed. I still put myself in situations where I'm out of my comfort zone, where I'm pushing myself, and I use hypnosis. And I want us to share and talk about that so everybody can get the good news and start applying hypnosis in small ways into their life. And then if they want to explore it more, they have a variety of hypnotists and other folks to check in with on how they can hire a professional hypnotist. Plus, I want to invite people to our training program, of course. Being a professional hypnotist is a great career. It's fun. It's fulfilling. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, Annie, about becoming a professional hypnotist, and what you would say to anybody who was thinking about becoming a professional hypnotist. But we can wait on that until I want to see if that was a good answer. Is that good for you, or would you like me to keep explaining?
No, I appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
And let me just wrap this up. And
Mhm.
becoming a professional hypnotist is probably another podcast for people who are interested in hearing all about that. So I won't jump into that right now, but I do want to say that the training that I undertook with you was probably the best that I could possibly get in the entire world. And while there are people who've been doing it you're welcome, much longer, the fact that this is what I consider to be root cause hypnosis is the best of all worlds. It is not almost. Having been a therapist most of my life, I can say it is the best of therapy and the best of hypnosis.
Awesome.
Because we don't have to rely upon creating scripts all the time. And I see this in so many different forums and so many other hypnotherapists that I engage with, and they're looking for scripts. They're always on the hunt for scripts. They're on the hunt for answers because they have a problem client and I'm like, if you were using root cause hypnotherapy, you wouldn't be asking those questions. You would feel confident to move through this issue with the client and resolve it. End of story. And I don't know why anybody would do anything other than this. And that's my bias, but
you have a bias with experience. It's not just a bias. We have experience. We have plenty of students come to us asking for scripts, asking me how to solve a problem. And it's exactly what you're saying. We got to get to root cause. We have got to get to that problem that keeps the problem alive and not just going after the symptoms and what the client is reporting, because if the client knew how to solve their problem, they wouldn't need to be coming to see us. So you're absolutely right, Annie. Thank you. Anything else you want to share with people today? Let's tell them how to contact you. I know it's up on your screen there, but how do you want people to contact you? What's the best way? Call you, email you?
Call, text, or email.
All right.
Either way, your preference. I'm happy
and
to
the
respond to
phone,
everything.
if they're not looking at us right now, what's your phone number?
Phone number is local to Bellingham, Washington. It's area code 360. So number 1, it's a 1 for the United States. Let me go there. 1 for the United States exchange, and then 360-840-1075. Lots of zeros, but easy to remember. And Northwest Hypnosis Center will dump you right onto the webpage and take you to me in a number of different ways.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Annie, so much for being here today and all of your expertise and the love that you put into the world, your dedication, your effort. And I just see you always, always doing everything you possibly can to be in service of your clients in whatever regard is necessary. I also see you working with our clients that have what I would consider some of the hardest problems in the world. You really do a great job helping people with those. So thank you so much for all the work that you do. I'm Erica Flint, and I would love to see you in our hypnosis training center in the hypnosis classroom. Our next course is the end of April, and then we have another course at the end of July. You can find me at cascadehypnosistraining.com, and we would love you to check out these episodes at livinghypnotically.com. Bye for now. I'm Erica Flint. Have a wonderful day.
Get the book, Start Hypnotizing. Get the book and first hypnosis lesson free now at canyoubeahypnotist.com.